Hello everyone, Cindy here with Monarch Mom DIY. Thank you so much for joining me today on my channel where I love to bring you my best tips and tools to inspire you to create beautiful home decor on a budget. Today I'm back with 5 more spring farmhouse home decor DIYs that I hope you'll love. With all that being said, let's get crafting. For DIY number 1, we're going to make this super cute carrot patch using a muffin tin from Dollar Tree, some of the carrots, some jute twine with wire, and some floral moss. So the first thing I'm going to do is take my white Waverly chalk paint. I'm just going to do a quick messy job of covering over most of the shiny metal from this tray. I'm just painting the top, the side edges, and then really the sides of each of the cups. You don't need to do all the way into the bottom if you're going to make this project like I am. I will say that once my white paint was dry, I did take this out to the garage and spray it with a clear spray. Then taking this jute twine that has the wire in it, I'm going to utilize those 2 holes on the short sides, and I'm going to make a handle or a hanger. Actually, it's more like a handle, like to carry this little tray with this jute twine that has wire in it. So I'm going to cut a good sized piece. I'm going to put this end through the hole as well, and then I'm going to bend it around itself, getting it the length that I want, just wrapping it around to secure the other end of the wire. Next, to make this a little more substantial of a handle, I am going to attach some of this jute twine from Walmart with some hot glue on one end, and then I'm going to wrap it around this length of jute with wire just to make it a little thicker. Then taking some of my Waverly chalk paint in Truffle, I'm just dry brushing some rust marks on here just to make our little muffin tin look a little bit older. Next, taking a package of the twine wrapped carrots, I'm cutting the end off to make it flat, and then I'm hot gluing the carrot piece into the center of each of our muffin compartments here. I did pull out the green, and it seemed to pull out some of the twine, so from now on I'm just going to trim the green, but I'm going to add 1 carrot to each of my 6 cups here in my muffin tin. Next, I'm going to take a little piece of some boxwood greenery from Walmart, and I'm going to put this in place of the greenery that was already in these carrots. It's just a little more substantial, looks a little nicer, and I really like how this looks with these carrots. So I'm just putting a little bit of glue in the hole there and poking the greenery in. Next, I'm going to add some hot glue in the bottom of each of the cups and a little bit up onto the side. And I'm going to fill in the rest of the muffin cup with some of this floral moss from Dollar Tree. We're going to do this to each of our sections, and I love this because it looks like these little carrots are actually in the dirt. Then taking one of these chalkboard signs and a better marker than this one, I'm going to write the word grow with a white paint marker, and we're going to make a little like garden stake, little garden sign for our piece here. So once I had the word nice and bright with the white marker, I'm just going to glue one of these like stir sticks onto the back of our sign. I'm going to trim it a little shorter, and once that's dry, we're going to add that to our little carrot garden. The other thing I'm going to add to this is I'm going to take this black and white gingham ribbon here from Dollar Tree, make a simple bow that I'm going to glue onto the handle. And here's our finished little carrot patch. I love this and think it is so cute. This would be really fun to make with kids, and you can make this for your spring decor. If you're stopping by my channel for the first time today, welcome. I'm so glad that you found me. I really hope you enjoy what you see and you'll consider sticking around by hitting that subscribe button. I hope everyone will tap that bell. Just make sure your notifications are set to all so YouTube should let you know when I upload a new video or go live here on my channel. For DIY number 2, we're going to make a cutting board flower box using this mini cutting board from Dollar Tree, as well as one of these wood boxes with the lids, some floral foam, some floral moss, and some florals. So if your Dollar Tree doesn't have these little cutting boards, you can use any mini cutting board. I know they're available at Hobby Lobby and other stores as well. And for the wood box, I'm just going to use the box itself, not the lid at this time. So I'm going to take Waverly chalk paint in the color Elephant. It's a nice dark gray, and I'm going to paint all the sides of my cutting board and all the sides of the box, except for the one side of the box that will get glued to the cutting board. So we're going to do up around the edge, we're going to do the inside, just get everything nice and painted. And then once that's dry, we're going to glue the box to the cutting board. Before we glue them together though, I am going to take my little mini sander here and I'm smoothing out the paint here. You can see I'm also distressing the edges a little bit. I'm going to do this on both the front and back of our cutting board, and then I'm going to do this to the box as well. Then taking some wood glue, I'm going to put a little bit on the one side of the box, stand that up, and glue that right to the cutting board. I've made different versions of this project using different supplies, and I always love how it turns out. Once that was dry, I did spray everything with a clear matte spray, and then now I'm just going to hot glue a piece of floral foam into the bottom, a little bit more hot glue on top, and some of this green reindeer moss on top of that to cover up that floral foam. This is an optional step, but I decided to add one of these wood word stickers from Hobby Lobby to the top of my little cutting board here. So I chose the word love. Then I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue on the back of the cutting board, attach my jute twine, and then once that's secure, I am going to wrap this a few times around the cutting board handle to add some of that farmhouse touch to the project. Once you have as much as you want, just glue the other end and snip off the excess. Then just go ahead and add any little pieces of florals. These are my favorite florals that Dollar Tree has ever held or carried. They're like the, I don't know, they're kind of frosted a little bit, but they've got some pretty lavenders and yellows. And I just cut little pieces to fit in there and to not cover up the love word sticker. Then taking that same black and white gingham ribbon, I'm just going to make a simple bow, and I'm going to glue this right to the center of that jute twine that we wrapped around the handle. And here's our finished project. I love this DIY. You can do this in so many different colors, themes, seasons, and they make great gifts as well. For a complete list of all the tools and supplies I've used in today's projects, please open up the description box below the title of this video. There you will find a list for each project. You'll also find links to my Amazon storefront and my Magnolia Design Co. website. For DIY number 3, we're going to use some 5-gallon paint sticks, 4 of these metal picture frames from Dollar Tree, as well as some wood letters from Hobby Lobby to create this hanging home sign. So we're going to take 4 of these frames. The first thing we're going to do is remove the metal and everything from the center of all 4 frames so that we can paint our frames. And for this project, I'm going to paint our frames with white Waverly chalk paint. I'm going to paint this wood-looking paper on the front of each frame, as well as the top and bottom edges, and some of the side edges if they are not going to be glued together. Also with white, I'm going to paint these tall, skinny wood letters from Hobby Lobby that spell home. You do get 2 of these in a package for about $1.29. Once my frames are dry, I'm going to take my little sander again and just distress them lightly, smooth out any paint bumps that we have or brush strokes to get these frames ready to glue together. Now coming back to the metal and the backing, I am going to remove the easel backing. I want these to be as flat as possible so that we can glue them to our surface. So we're going to remove all the easels. We are also going to take a little screwdriver and we're going to remove the little clip, but then put the screw back in so we don't have holes there. We're going to screw that metal back to the backing. Now, once we have our frames all put back together, I'm going to use wood glue and I'm going to glue my 4 frames together side by side. Now for the backing of this sign, I'm going to use 4 of these 5-gallon paint sticks. I want them to be a nice dark wood stained color, so I am brushing on my antique wax, letting it sit for a minute, and then wiping off the excess with my paper towel. I'm going to do the front and the back and the sides of each of these. Once those are all dry, I'm going to use these 4 pieces that are left over from when I've had other projects with the paint sticks, and I'm going to evenly space out my long sticks and then just glue these 4 small pieces to hold our paint sticks together. These are going to be covered up by the frames, so I didn't bother painting or staining them. Coming back to our wood letters here, I decided to use some of my Tim Holtz Distressing ink just to go around the edges a little bit, give them a little bit more of a worn look, and add a little bit more of that brown that's in our paint sticks to these letters. Once those are dry, I'm going to use some hot glue and I'm going to glue 1 letter down to the center of each of our metal frames. Then positioning our 4 frames a little closer to the bottom, I am going to put some hot glue and glue those frames to the paint sticks. Once I have them glued on the front, I'm going to flip this over and add a bunch more hot glue wherever the frames touch the paint sticks, just to make it nice and secure. You can see all those spaces there where the paint sticks are touching the frames. We're going to reinforce all of those with hot glue. Next, taking some jute twine from Dollar Tree, I'm going to double it, and I'm going to tie a knot around the top paint stick on the left side, and then we're going to take it over to the other side, and we're going to first, before we tie it, we're going to put some tape on there, and I'm going to string about 20 of these black beads. These were originally, I believe, from Hobby Lobby on a strand. And then once we have 20 or so of the black beads, then I'm going to tie the other side of the twine to finish off our hanger. Then coming in here with some lamb's ear, I'm going to use a combination of my staple gun and some hot glue just to put some of this lamb's ear on either side of the top of our project here, and then we're going to make a bow to attach to the middle to finish it off. And here's our finished project. I really love how this one turned out. And again, you can make this project with so many different color schemes. I just chose to keep mine neutral. If you want to be sure to get notifications when I am going live or when a new YouTube video is premiering, please consider subscribing to my Telegram broadcast. There is a link for that in my link tree in the description of this video. That is a one-way communication. I send out a reminder about 20 to 30 minutes before a premiere of a video or a live on either Facebook or YouTube, and that comes directly from me. For DIY number 4, I'm going to make a couple of these bottle cap signs. I've had some of these Dollar Tree bottle cap hanging signs for a while. I'm also going to use some of their smaller strung beads, these little mirror houses, and a piece of scrapbook paper. So these have like a big shoelace in them for the hangers. So we're going to remove those, and then we will add those back in at the end. I have a piece of scrapbook paper that I want to use for the background for this. It's just a floral one that I had in my stash. So I'm going to take a pencil and just trace around the middle circle for each of our bottle caps, and then we'll cut those out and attach them to the center of our bottle cap signs with some Mod Podge. These little mirror houses are something else I've had in my stash for a very long time. I thought they kind of looked like bird houses, so I wanted to use them as that on this project. I am going to give them a coat of ocean blue If you look very closely at the scrapbook paper I used on the signs, there is a little bit of blue in there, so that's why I chose blue for painting the houses. Then I'm going to, once that's dry, press that down in the center of each of our signs. Next, I'm going to go over the house and the scrapbook paper with a little bit more matte Mod Podge just to make sure everything is nice and sealed. You're going to see here in a minute that I put way too much Mod Podge, so I am going to get a paper towel and take off some of the excess. That is the one drawback to having it in that squeeze bottle, is it's too easy sometimes to get too much out of the bottle, but just you can get some of the extra off with your paintbrush onto a paper towel. Once that is dry, I'm going to take this smaller strand of beads. I did count out that I needed 37 of these small beads to go all the way around the inside, so I did tie off 37 of these beads on each of my strings, and I'm just attaching this here kind of between or on the edge of where the scrapbook paper circle is. I've seen this done with jute twine, but I thought it would be nice and kind of elevate it a little bit more to use beads on the inside. I am going to cover up the ends there where you can see the twine in just a little bit with some ribbon. I am going to put the hanger back in, but I don't like how those shoelace things are hanging down. So you're going to see I'm going to trim those off and just put some hot glue between the twine and the hole so that the hanger is shorter and doesn't have those weird pieces sticking out. So I decided to use this yellow ribbon to make a bow. I don't know if you can see, but there is a little bit of yellow in the scrapbook paper as well. So I'm going to make a small satin yellow bow to go at the top of each project to cover up like where the twine is. Later, I decided the yellow was a little bright, so I am going to cover over the yellow with another jute twine bow just to kind of mute it a little bit. And I really love how these turned out. You could add little birds to them or words or whatever you choose. If you love budget home decor DIY videos like this, please consider giving this video a thumbs up and leaving a comment or two, as that lets YouTube know people are enjoying my content, and then they will show it to more and more potential viewers. For DIY number 5, we're going to use this thrift store frame, a grapevine wreath, some greenery. Actually, I'm not going to use the greenery. The main thing from Dollar Tree is the wood love word and the window mirror. So first of all, you can do this project on any sort of picture frame that you want. I was super happy to find this very rustic wood looking frame with a chalkboard in the center. We're actually not going to use the chalkboard, but I'm going to use this chippy brush and some black Waverly chalk paint, and then I'm going to come back in with mineral, which is a light gray. You'll see why I chose these colors when you see the scrapbook paper that I'm going to cover the chalkboard with. It's kind of a blacks and grays type of theme, so I wanted to just add a little bit of black and gray to this frame and cover a little bit of the brown that was showing through. So once the paint was dry, I'm going to take this gray and white shiplap scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby. I'm going to trim it down to the measurements of the chalkboard on the inside of my frame, and then we're going to Mod Podge that on to the center of the chalkboard. Next, I'm going to take this window mirror that I found at Dollar Tree, remove the plastic, then I'm going to remove the 5 screws from the back. I'm actually not going to use the mirror. I just want the window looking frame. It is plastic, and I'm going to take my white Waverly chalk paint and I'm going to paint it. I'm not worrying that it gets solidly covered. It's okay if some of the black is showing through, but I am going to paint all the little areas. So the front of everything, the inside of every space, all the way around the outside of the frame as well. Now coming back to our sign, I'm going to do another layer of Mod Podge on the outside or on the front of the scrapbook paper as well, just to make sure everything is nice and sealed. While that's drying, I'm going to give our little wood love word here a layer of white Waverly chalk paint, and we're going to be adding this to the front of our project. I'm going to glue it here a little bit to this mini grapevine wreath. I was going to add greenery, but I didn't like how it was looking, and I decided just to keep it in the neutral tones this time. Flip it over, add a little hot glue where you can to make sure that this wood word stays securely on our grapevine wreath. Then taking that same ribbon, I'm going to loop it through the wreath, and I'm going to glue it here to the top of our little window, wrapping it around the top as well, and then we'll trim that off. And the last step is just to put a little bit of glue on the back of our window, and we're going to attach that right down to the center of our scrapbook paper there on our frame. And I love, love, love how this turned out. I think it's so pretty, and I hope it gives you some good ideas of some things you can do with some thrift store finds as well as some items from Dollar Tree. Thanks again so much for joining me today. Please let me know in the comments which of these projects was your favorite, and we'll see you next time. Take care.